8-year-olds love to race, and 10-year-olds do too. I know this because they tell me about it all the time. In baseball practice last week, I put a group of 8-year-olds on second base and a group at home plate, and I had them do a relay race to see which group could round the bases the fastest. It was the most excited I saw them all practice. Adults love to race too. It's not normally in the form of a foot race, but most of us love the challenge of competing and or winning. We watch and root for our favorite sports teams, or some of us, consciously or subconsciously, might just drive a little bit faster because that car near us is about to pass us. Shoot, we even see folks climb over each other in a race to get on or off an airplane as fast as possible. Stick around and let's talk about racing. On your mark, get set, go. Welcome to episode 19 of I Have No Idea What I'm Doing. I can't believe we're only one episode away from 20. I feel like we should have some sort of contest or a party or something to celebrate you for watching these videos regularly. Maybe I'll think of something between now and next week. Either way, thanks for being a part. Getting back to racing and competing, there are some who just can't turn it off. Former President Obama, for example, is known to turn most anything he does into a competition with those around him. The competition of politics and campaigning is easy to see, but he's always attempted to engage folks in games of pickup basketball, shooting pool, or bowling, and even bringing competitiveness into his speech writing when he was noted one time as saying, "I'm a better speechwriter than my speechwriters." He's a competitive guy. Take Michael Jordan, who ruthlessly competed both on the basketball floor and off of it. He would turn anything he could into a race or competition. There's stories of him betting on things like mascot races in the middle of his basketball games with teammates, challenging and humiliating his golfing partners or the fans in the gallery, or even ones of him hosting high school basketball clinics during the off-season and playing one-on-one with the 17 and 18-year-old kids and just destroying them, showing zero mercy in them just because they were younger. For many, competition in racing is just second nature, and psychologists have studied for generations, noting that it's an essential force in maintaining productive and efficient open markets, and that it has likely evolved over time as a biological trait and one of the most basic needs for human survival. So what's with all the race talk? Well, going back to our last episode, I mentioned that with some of the changes at work, now might be a good time to reevaluate what we do, how we do it, and if there's anything else we might consider doing or taking on. We've explored lots of ideas at a high level. Most of them have been tossed aside, but one of the things I know I'll look to avoid is a race that we see happen regularly, and that's a race to the bottom. Conventional wisdom often thinks that the easiest way to stand out and gain customers is to make your product offering cheaper than the rest of what's available. Consider it the Walmartification or the Amazoning of our current world. Carrying more products at a scale never seen before, getting them to you as fast as humanly possible, and doing it for cheaper than anyone else. It's fantastic, right? Well, that's competition at its finest. It's the American way. Except for when it's not. Contrary to popular belief, there are certain races you don't want to win. The race to the bottom, that one where you have to be the cheapest or the fastest in order to get noticed and bought, is one that you can only win for so long, and it's one that very likely doesn't bring long-term satisfaction. The idea of being large enough in scale to be thought of as a commodity comes at a price. That price could be your profit margin, it could be the quality of your product, it could be your need to have to sacrifice your customer service or employee perks to make the numbers work. It could come at the cost of your community and those you think you intended to serve. Or it could also be the cost of affecting the environment or the world around you as you loosen regulations or devalue all of those involved in the process. The race to the bottom is a race that's scary to me because, frankly, it's a race you might just win. Is the bottom the place you really want to be? But what if you're not the business owner? Well, I wouldn't say you're off the hook. As an employee, you can easily win the race to the bottom as well. Just show up every day at 7:59 a.m. and make sure your TPS reports are filled out correctly so no one notices or complains about it. And work just hard enough or make just enough sales to not get called out by your peers or your boss. In other words, find the baseline and cash the check. Unfortunately, too many large businesses are set up to allow and sometimes encourage this type of behavior. Or what about your non-work life? Do you give the bare minimum effort there? Are your kids, spouse, or friends more familiar with the top of your head? Because that's what they see the most as you're looking down on your phone? And possibly worse, are you more familiar with the top of your kid's head because you've allowed them to escape too often to other digital worlds instead of engaging them in conversation, relationship, or heaven forbid, a little competition? Trust me, those races to the bottom are the ones you don't want to win. Alternatively, you have options. Last week I pointed out that we in our office want to be impact makers. There's plenty of other races you can compete in. Be the best in quality or the best design. Be the most sought after. Work with integrity. Bring more and better ideas to the table. Read better books. Be remembered for how you made them feel. If you can win any of those races, you got a chance of really standing out and truly winning. Let's take some time this week to think about what races we're running. Are we headed towards the bottom? If so, maybe we need to find a new course. The race to the top makes a little more sense to me. Until next time.